All right, let's go. Welcome to another Friday Mastermind. For over 7 years, we've been doing every Friday at 9 o'clock Pacific. Todd Bookspan and myself have been doing this. Todd is in, where is Todd? He's
Louisiana,
in, yeah,
the Jazz.
Louisiana at the Jazz Fest. So he's partying with the Foo Fighters today, not with us. Deborah Bird for 3 years has, is it three going on 4 years, D Bird?
I'm so bad at my timeline is not very good. So, I think we always say 3 years, but I think it's
So,
around 3 years.
so three going on 4 years, every Friday, 9 o'clock, to bring leadership and mastermind, bring just badass people that have great values, they're servant leaders, and they're out there making America better through home ownership. So I'm really excited about today's call. We're also joined by the co-founder, Kristen Messerly of First Home IQ, who I've interviewed more times than I can count. It's good to have you here, Kristen. What's up?
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, well, Kristen, also help me when we bring in these special guests, frame them, because we both have had relationships. We've both known Rob for a long time. I got to know Mosi last year. So let's together bring them in. Our two special guests today are Rob Chrane, the founder and CEO of Downpayment Resources. The way I would frame it is, I mean, this man is an innovator, and he is really making a difference for the affordability crisis in America, the financial literacy crisis in America. He is, in my mind, a for-profit and for-purpose entrepreneur. He's making America better, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Kristen, what would you say about Rob before we, all give him an applause and welcome him on stage?
Well, I mean, with both of these guests, I feel like they are, like you said, so purpose driven, but truly moving the needle in a huge way in the industry. And I met Rob a few years ago. It's also not good with my timelines, but I knew instantly, like, this is, he's at the forefront, especially, of course, around down payment assistance, but also in reaching first-time home buyers and really making it possible for a lot of people to enter the market that otherwise couldn't have. So super excited about both of these guests, but yeah, Rob, and sharing a little bit more about his platform and how we can make the most of reaching the next generation through that.
Yeah, and one more note
Thank you very
before.
much.
Yeah, well, I'm not done with you, Rob, yet. So his
I'm
platform
blush.
is built into both Zillow and Redfin, and millions of consumers a year. I think there's a published press release, and we're going to share some of that. Is had over, what was it, 900 and some odd million people? Was it last year?
Yeah, well,
Uniques.
yeah, a little over 1 million uniques found the eligibility form to see if they were eligible for down payment assistance for any home they were looking at on Zillow. If the property was eligible, a down payment assistance module would pop up, and they could answer 6 questions and see which of those programs they were eligible for. And it turned out to be, in the first 12 months, over 1 million unique visitors. So people are hungry
That
for that information, and they had to search to find that module. They had to
yeah.
scroll a lot.
And guys, that's just Zillow. That doesn't include the Redfin numbers. That doesn't include the other partners he has, the loan officers using it. And so I wanted to have Rob here because I talk all the time. There's riches and niches, and first-time home buyers are a niche. And it should, I don't care who you are in real estate or mortgage, you should have first-time home buyers as a niche. You should really do that. And so I think Rob is a foundational piece of that. We scheduled this, and I said, hey, Rob, I'd like to have you and one of your customers, and someone who also knows MortgageCoach would be a win. And he listed off 3 loan officers, but the number one draft choice was Mosi, who I got to meet last year. And Rob, why don't you kind of speak to who she is to the industry, and then Kristen, why don't you do that, and then we'll bring her on stage, and then we'll get after it with the topic.
Yeah, I feel so fortunate to have met Mosi a few years ago. I was going to be a moderator on a panel at Digital Mortgage, and we obviously were going to be talking about affordability and down payment assistance. And the panel we had pitched was to have a loan officer who really embraces down payment assistance, knows that business, and also somebody from one of the housing agencies that provides down payment help. the conference was in Las Vegas. So I went to one of our partners at Nevada Rural Housing and director of homeownership. And I said, hey, would you be willing to be on this panel with me? And she said, yeah, I'd love to. I said, okay, now tell me your best loan officer partner that you guys work with. And she didn't hesitate a beat. She said, Mosi. I said, oh, great. Well, let's see if she can join us. And Mosi was very accommodating and joined us. And, we had a great time. We had a great panel. And she's the main thing is what an awesome job she does, but she's also very articulate in terms of, how she does it. It just, I like to just sit back and take notes when Mosi is speaking.
Guys, we're all going to be taking back and taking notes seriously, because I've interviewed her before, not in this venue, but I can't remember how we met. It was a year or 2 years ago. Kristen, who is Mosi to you, and why do you think she's valuable to loan officers and anyone listening?
Well, it's funny because I think, Mosi, we first met when I was moderating a panel. Was that right? And you were on it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, she just has so much wisdom, and and I feel like ever since then I just see you on stage after stage. So it's really exciting to see you in that spotlight and doing so much with your leadership. So but yeah, it feels like now I see you everywhere, and just excited to have you here today.
Yeah. So my last note before we bring her on stage and get after the topics is, guys, her team closed 239 loans last year. So they're doing a lot of volume. They're making a difference. She's got some unique ways in which she's generating business, with builders, with companies. And so I think you're really gonna learn how to help first-time homebuyers. You're also gonna learn some different pillars and ways of doing that. So Mosi, welcome to the stage here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm blushing. You can't maybe see it, but I promise I am. I appreciate what everybody said, and it's been great being able to meet all of you all as well.
Cool. Well, let's get on with the conversation. So I'd like to think of this as like a football game, and we're in quarter one. We're about halfway through the first quarter. The first quarter we did intros, and now I want to hear everybody just like give a minute or two on what does homeownership mean to you, and what is your why in your role. And let's try to keep that like 1 to 2 minutes each. Let's go around the loop, and then we'll get into strategies, like how can we help more people achieve the dream of homeownership, and how can we do it in a way that's competitive advantage. And Mosi, let's go first with you. Let's have you share your why.
My why, it came from basically my own background. Grew up a military brat. Strange enough, I was born in the Philippines, lived all over the United States. Because we were military and we moved every 2 years, I didn't really have home, giving up your friends before the day and age of internet. I'm dating myself now, right? There wasn't the social media connection. It was letters, good old fashioned writing letters. But being able to really stay in connection with people, but not having a place that we always came back to that was home, was different. It wasn't until I was probably 16 that my parents bought their first home. And that changes things when you can go back to your family home, right? I just never had that growing up. So looking at things a little bit differently, growing up in that military culture where everybody moves and disconnects. Back then, it was far much more often than it is now in military culture. But that every 2 years and being able to reconnect and go back home was major. And talking to other people about what they did, they would go back to their parents' home or go stay with their grandparents in between moving and things like that. So just taking some of those life lessons and being able to apply it in my business as to why people don't buy, and some of those obstacles, it just brought something different to the game for me.
Beautiful. Love that. Rob, what's yours?
Yeah, so my background was, I guess you'd say, the opposite of Mosi's, in that I grew up and lived in the same town all my childhood years till I went off to college. And just having that sense of place, having friends, community, I don't know, home was just is important. You know, it's your safe space, and it's you know where your friends are and your family and all that. It was always just really foundational to me. And so when I got old enough to leave school and look at starting a career, I was actually sweeping out homes for a home builder, and he offered me a full-time job. But it was wintertime, and those empty houses were really cold. And so I turned it down, but I ended up in the real estate business and listed and sold properties, then was a broker for a number of years. So, you know, you get kind of addicted to that thrill of watching people, their excitement and their, you know, how the trajectory of their lives change when you've helped them, whether as a real estate agent or as a lender, get into that home. And that just sort of carried forward. And once I got into the mortgage business, and became familiar with all of the different types of programs to help people get into homes, I began to appreciate how difficult and complicated it was. So you could almost say, out of laziness, I said there's got to be a better, easier way to keep up with these programs, because even if you're working in a local metro area, there can be dozens of programs. So I just said there's got to be a better way, and with no intention whatsoever of doing it, just somebody needs to do this. And I guess I said it, you know, one too many times, and somebody handed me the baton, and here I am. It's been a great experience.
Love it. Kristen.
Oh, so homeownership to me, really succinctly, is empowerment and community. For me, I feel like and not that homeownership is like the solution to everything, but it felt like a piece in creating some actual stability in my life. And when I bought a home and when I started a business and, you know, started going down those types, taking action in my life, it felt like I was taking ownership over my life, which is why I like our tagline so much at First Home IQ: own your future. And to Rob's point and to Mosi's, the community that you build as a result of having those kinds of roots has been one of, if not the most valuable, you know, aspect of my life here in LA. So
Love that. Love that. D-Bird.
So for me, the first kind of emotions that came to mind was just a sense of security, certainty, something that you own. It's generational memories. Hopefully it's a safe place for you to come home to, where you can, you know, let your stomach hang out and it doesn't matter. But then from childhood, I think about, and a lot of you know this story, but my dad had raised us from a young age, and we ended up losing our home our senior year in high school. And I think about that story, and it's why I'm so passionate of connecting with true MortgageCoach mortgage advisors and amplifying them on social, because I wonder how it would have been different had he received better advice. Because they had built the home in 79, and although we lived in it for 22 years, or they owned it for 22 years, it did at least stretch our sense of home for an extra 5 years, where we could make it to our senior year, because he kept borrowing from the equity of the home before he ended up losing it. And so I'm grateful that we got to at least get to as close through high school as possible in our same home that we were raised in through childhood. But then it just really fuels my heart and my passion to make sure that the people who need great financial advice are connected with the advisors that care to give it to them. And so that's what it means to me.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. And I mean, first of all four of those were like amazing. I'm gonna take it from a different angle, although it plays off of all this. You know, to me, home ownership is the front line of the wealth gap in America. And when you look at you know, the haves and the have-nots in America, it's who owns and who rents. You know, it's one of the reasons why, you know, Chris and I co-founded, well, no, it is the reason we co-founded First Home IQ is that, you know, I believe, you know, by the age of 21, people should be money smart and understand that, you know, renting, you know, average net worth right now is around 10,400. You notice I'm data driven. I said about, and you know, it's an actual number. I'm gonna show on my screen a chart from First Home IQ that shows that. But I mean, guys, this is it. This is the data. renting net worth, owning net worth. And so, you know, to help a consumer at the point of sale go beyond the transaction, you qualify and help the consumer really like tell their story. Hey, you could house hack. You could buy that 3-bedroom house and you could invest some of that money that you get from the rooms that you're selling. And look what 5 years, what your net worth would be like. Notice, like, you know, if kids got this information before they're 21, old enough to drink, old enough to vote, old enough to do everything, but they don't, you know, I even though my dad was a CPA and a, you know, CFO, I didn't get money smart. And you know, so anyways, I think we've crushed it on the why. We went a minute over, but I think it's good. Now, guys, let's get into strategies and get into what are the main problems. Obviously, we're going to spend a lot of time on down payment and you know, different ways of approaching that. So, Rob, before you just jump on down payment, you probably have some data like what are the, you know, list 3 or 4. And then Mosi, we'll go to you second because you're talking to families all the time. You not only know the data, but you know what it's like in your local market. And then Kristen and myself and Deb will comment on that. But Rob, what are the reasons people don't buy homes when they're 25 years old anymore? They're buying them when they're 34. Just list them out for us.
Yeah, well, you certainly pointed out a key feature, and that's just you know, lack of education. They just don't think it's possible. So many people don't, especially at that age. And then as people get a little bit older into their 30s, there's a separation, and then there's some people that know they can become homeowners and they're striving for that to achieve it. But then there are a lot of people that, for a number of reasons, just, you know, they didn't grow up in a home that their family owned. They didn't have relatives that did. Maybe they lived in apartments or in rental homes. It just, you know, it's not even on their radar. And so they're not looking, and they're not aware of what the opportunities are, aware that it's possible. And then somebody said to me, and it really resonated. Somebody said, you know, the problem isn't lack of down payment. The problem is a lack of knowledge of down payment help. And I think that's so true that, you know, somebody told me one time that I was asking somebody why, you know, why they didn't want to share this information with people coming to their website. And they said, well, we spend a lot of money surveying our viewers, our site visitors, and they never say that they want help with down payment assistance. I said, of course they don't. Why would you ask for help with something that you don't even know exists? So I think education it's just a huge part of it, awareness, and that's our biggest challenge and that's kind of our vision, is that everybody, not only everybody who aspires to home ownership, but everybody who could be a successful homeowner should know of the resources available to them to help them get there, so that it's on their radar and they get there one day.
So here's what
And
we
then
do.
there are other things with, you know, affordability, prices and stuff like that. And I'm certainly not saying that down payment assistance is a silver bullet that fixes everything. Affordability is such a complex problem. It's going to take a lot of things and a lot of partnerships and a lot of people to fix it, but it's fixable.
So Mosi, before you answer this, community, anyone watching this, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're in our Facebook group, whether you're on Zoom right now, I would love for you to list in the order of challenge. And, you know, obviously credit, down payment, debt to income ratio, you know, those are the 3 cornerstones to qualifying for a loan and buying a home. But, you know, rank them in your market, your experience. What are the number 1, number 2, number 3? Please put those in priority and put those in chat. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're watching the recording, I would just love to see how different people answer this question. But Mosi, why don't you kind of share from a real world, like, you know, you and your team are doing loans right now. What are the problems? And just list them out.
I would say close. It's getting close on my number 1, but down payment and debt ratio. Because now affordability has become such a thing. No matter where you're at. Yes, I'm in Las Vegas, but I think that debt ratio is a thing. And as I've seen that become more of a thing, my average buyer age has increased dramatically in the last 4 years. It's not anymore the 20 somethings that are trying to buy and get their first home because not because they don't want to in some cases if they're aware, but maybe their earnings aren't mature enough, right? If you're just getting out of college, what are you earning compared to now my average age of purchasing is 36? Because maybe they've just been in their line of business for longer and have that income that can support the prices now. But even though they're 36 on average, they are in fact first-time buyers. So as the inventory is changing, they're having the ability to go out and say, okay, now I can go get my piece of the pie. Maybe they've become aware enough about it. Their income is there and they can purchase. And then I will say, perhaps that knowledge base that everybody's kind of talking about, if you're not aware there are things out there, asking for help is sometimes the thing we don't want to do, right? That pride factor. Asking for assistance, there's been so many negative connotations attached to asking for help or just the way that it's phrased in being assistance. So one thing that we also try to do is discuss it in more of a manner that doesn't project maybe poverty on somebody, make them feel bad about the knowledge or reaching out for that, because we all will grab the tools that we feel are accessible and that we have, but some people don't feel they can qualify for it or that they should get it or let me do this on my own, right? So talking about it as a way to leverage an agency's money is a huge way that we really present a couple of options to people, and we have more takers when it comes to doing down payment assistance because it's not, they don't have this stigma of it being a welfare type situation.
Cool.
So those would be my three.
Okay. And then we're going to, after this little round on the problems, we'll go into solutions. So, and I'll probably start with you, Mosi, when we get to that. And for everybody in the audience that's kind of sharing your experience, thank you. Keep doing that. Now, Kristen, you've, between interviews that you've actually done with next gen buyers and surveys that you've done, I mean, you got a lot of data on this. What are, and list it in from your perspective, and the data that you've had, what are all the problems and all the challenges in order?
Well, I wasn't expecting you to ask me this question because I feel like Mosi answered that really well, but because for me, from the data that we've gathered, a lot of it comes down, like we're very focused on the knowledge itself, like knowledge of access to down payment programs or knowledge of the, how much you need for a down payment. But every year we ask, what are your top financial problems or challenges, and high cost of living and affordability are always at the top. Another thing that came up significantly when asking about homeownership this year was that half said that they didn't feel that homeownership was accessible to the next generation. So, that accessibility factor and I'm curious to hear, before we get into the solutions, what you guys feel are there's challenges both on the consumer side and the LO side in accessing those down payment programs. So as we think about those solutions, for both sides feeling that down payment assistance is not accessible, let's clarify what that looks like, and then we can get into how that looks for the actual strategies.
One quick thing I wanted to add, if it's okay, before we leave the topic, and Mosi talked about debt to income being a hurdle. We've analyzed tens of thousands of decline loan applications at the loan level to see how many of those could have been salvaged by applying a down payment assistance that was available. I mean, it was available to that household income, to that property location, that property sales price. And it was, depending on the data sets, it was from 31 to 33% of decline loans could have been salvaged by applying down payment assistance. But how this relates to debt to income ratios, the obvious thing is, yeah, it helps people who don't have the cash. But when that available down payment assistance is applied, on average, it reduces the loan to value by 6%. So if you're reducing on average the loan to value 6%, that's going to help the DTI. And not only will it help the DTI, may help you get a slightly better rate, may lower your PMI rate, or maybe eliminate the need for PMI. So, you know, that's another connection between DTI and DPA.
Yeah, no, good call out. Deborah, you know, what in your experience, and you know, you have a lot of, you know, Deborah is the top social media coach for, you know, top producing mortgage professionals and first home IQ ambassadors. So what do you think the issues are and needs in order of priority or order of
Well,
problem?
I think it is, you know, one, always look at your local market, but something that we do, and in case you guys haven't seen this, can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last year's, so it always comes out, it's usually the end of March, but it came out the first week of April, so just last month. And this is the NAR Home Buying and Selling Trends Report. So it's very interesting to see, you know, from the different age groups where the sources of the down payment came from. And this has, you know, it's pages and 137 pages, guys. But it also reveals like years debt delayed home buyers from saving for a down payment. And you look at, you know, millennials were the biggest demographic who bought last year, and about 44% of them were first-time home buyers. I was also surprised how many in the 44 to 58% range, 24% of them were first-time home buyers. So you are seeing that age, although the median age of first-time home buyers is 35, this is just very telling of what is causing that. And you can see student loans is still a big one. So I know we've done a few calls. I think it was more, you know, last year of how to help people maybe with income repayment plans for student loans. But again, all the more reason why we've got to get to people sooner, faster, quicker, so they can see how some of this may impact, you know, their ability to buy. So I just encourage everyone to, if you don't have your own local data, because maybe you're not keeping track of it, you can use this report, and I'll drop it in the chat. But this too, so this says why the application had been denied. So just looking at even Gen Z or the millennial group, a lot of it is low credit score and debt to income ratio. You can see these are the heaviest hitters, really all the way across the board.
Great share, Deborah. And everyone, we'll have a link to that, like in show notes. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have a link to that. Also, Rob shared a few reports that will probably come up. We'll put those in our Facebook group, Trust Engine. And remember, Bridge Builders by Keeping Current Matters. I mean, they do an incredible job of providing that. We'll put a link to learn more about Bridge Builders. And they also have a great free blog. Keeping Current Matters blog is just extraordinary. So make sure you have the data. So I mean, I'm going to just answer it from, you know, one, I'm a guy that used to be one of the top 50 loan officers in America, you know, so I've done over, you know, I don't know, thousands of loans. And then I've, you know, been a coach and helped thousands of loan officers become mortgage coaches. And here's the answer, man. It's unique to every person. Everybody's got a story, you know, and, you know, down payment, I think, is a common one. And when you look at all the chat coming up here, it looks like if we did an informal study, it's down payment. But hey, DTI, to Mosie's point, guys, we have an affordability crisis and housing prices have skyrocketed, and DTI is a challenge. And then here's the deal. If someone has the money and they have the income, but their credit's all screwed up, you know, because like, hey, when I got out of school, old enough to get a credit card, Sears came knocking and I delivered. You know, I racked up my Sears card, and then Citibank gave me a card and I racked that thing up. And so, you know, guys, we need to educate the next generation early, and it's different for every person. And thank you for everybody that shared things in here. So guys, let's just jump into solutions. Today, we're gonna, you know, spend the rest, you know, we're at halftime now, but the rest of the call is just down payment assistance. How can we, well, by the way, Krista, when it's you and I turn to add our thoughts, I think we should talk about education. And I think we should talk, like, families have never had more equity than they do right now in America. And I think it's time that families that have equity and means start planning for their kids' education. So let's you and I talk about how to get family help and then layer in how to get community help. But Mosi, why don't you tee it up? Because you're obviously, one of the top down payment assistant lenders in the country, and you're also one of the top loan officers and team leaders in the country. So how do you approach this? How do you solve?
Problem solving. I'm blessed in, like I said, lived experience plays a lot into my business. I have 5 kids, 17 to 26. My 26-year-old's birthday, she turned 26 today, but she did close
Yay.
on a home
Happy
3
birthday.
years ago.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Kia.
8 years
She
ago?
closed on her 3 years ago.
Oh,
But I know that she bought because I am her mama. And I had to change the way I talk to my kids about their relationship with credit. Their relationship with when you get out of high school, yes, go to college, but think about what you're going to do when you get out. Because let's talk about this money situation, because I feel that student loans don't only cripple, maybe in some cases, the person that's taking them, but it could cripple the entire family and have a ripple effect, right? Because you got parents co-signing, family co-signing for them and inhibiting their ability to purchase. But I am really super big on changing the language that we use when we're talking to people about their relationship with money or getting down payment assistance, and challenging them on that front of, what that looks like. Her being 23 when she's buying, younger generations are not necessarily like I was, that, you get out of high school, you go to college, you find your person, you buy a home, and you have kids. I took that path. But I think if it was more up to my daughter, if I didn't talk to her a little bit more, talk to her differently than just the tune of perhaps getting a home for generational wealth. Yes, it does provide generational wealth, but let's talk about what it does in the meantime. Because if it was up to her, she'd probably be in Dubai taking a selfie, right? She's not today on her birthday, but she is working and at home because she's sustaining her ownership. And I think that talking to her about our rental culture in America played into that. And not just talking about generational wealth, because right now she's not thinking about having kids. She has 2 lap dogs and she's totally happy. So what's mentally driving that psychology behind a home buyer? It's not just the generational wealth. Can we talk to them about achieving it in a different way? And for her, I was like, honey, look at me. Let's talk about landlords. And I told her they match energy. They do, because if you can give them a 30-day notice to move or a 60-day notice, you can also get a 30 or 60-day notice to be homeless, right? And then be struggling. And those buyers that are struggling to find ownership or another place to rent with only a 60-day notice, you now have to have your credit in line. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready to buy or rent. Just because if you are renting, you do get that short-term notice to get out. And if your credit isn't in line, these days, the requirements to rent are just as bold as to own when it comes to credit score requirement. And if you look at apartments, they've always said, and just talking about this language, they've always said you have to make 2.5 to 3 times the rent to qualify. What's crazy is they've articulated debt ratio for eons saying that. And no matter if you figure 1,000 a month or 6,000 a month, that 2.5 to 3 times hits a 41 to 45 debt ratio every time. So they've been saying debt ratio to these younger generations, and we can say it that way too, even though I do mortgages. I don't have to say debt ratio. I can relate it to the rent because it's familiar and they will feel where I'm coming from. So I think having some of those conversations with people when they're going forward as their motivating factor for buying, it just can't be what was good for me. Or when I was younger, and because I'm 47 now, but talking about how they have that house to come back to after they're done taking their wonderful selfies, right, on a sand dune in Dubai. They got to come home somewhere, and no one can tell you to just get out if you have a plan to sustain it. So I think that relationship with the language, again, with mortgages, I love my industry, but we're still using words that came about when Fair Housing Acted in 1968. So I like to break rank with that and shake things up a little bit and really relate it to what's going on now so they can navigate that, but it's on a level that's also understandable, palatable, digestible. versus our traditional forms of education that we've put on people. But like I said, the educational framework sometimes dates back so far, it is not relative to the people consuming the data and the information now. So as practitioners, we have a little bit of a responsibility to kind of change that and make it fit that person, meet them where they're at, so they know where they can get access. And like I said, it's words throughout what is our job of presenting these. And to do down payment assistance, you also don't have to barely do business. I'm a testament to that. You can be a top producer. You can be a top 1% loan officer in the nation and have a lot of your business come from down payment assistance, simply because I offer both options and as leverage. In my market, my HFA allows you to get down payment assistance if you make as much as $160,000 per year, because they're analyzing how much it takes someone to own a $400,000 house in my market when my median price is over $450,000. How much do you have to make if you have bills at $750 a month? Yes, you need to make that amount of money. So you can get a down payment assistance, but instead of just calling it assistance, let's call it a way to leverage to be able to get what you need now for your family. So those words mean a lot to people. And I feel that we can do a lot of good and help by really tailoring that to our audience.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
a
wow.
micro content for our YouTube channel, and that is micro content for the First Home IQ channel. And Kristen, I'm sure you were thinking what I was thinking, like you need to be interviewing Mosi for our ambassadors. Like they need to hear that and more from Mosi.
Yeah, I was just excited to get that clip to share in the First Time IQ community immediately.
Right.
But I am.
You want to ask her a question to get another clip, or you want to play off of her?
Yeah. Well, I did want to ask, because something Rob and I have talked a lot about is that a lot of industry loan officers will have a hard time with or thinking that down payment assistance is going to be a hindrance to their business. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit about how that's, supported your business, and also maybe dispel some of the myths. And Rob, you can, chime in on that too, but dispel some of the myths that like down payment assistance can be so cumbersome,
It is not. It is very easy. My HFA has down payment resource built into it. And you put in what the framework of what you think this person makes off of the verbal application. And it's going to tell you everything that might be a hit or miss. And then, look, I'm giving Dave a plug here, because when we talk about MortgageCoach, it is literally the ability to combine and to compare multiple scenarios. So the additional 5 minutes it takes me to churn out everything and give them options. First of all, I am the trusted advisor in that situation to give them everything they could get and not make a judgment, even if they have some money just to cover the down payment. Maybe they're not even buying simply because you didn't give them the option, because they don't want to be without the money. Money is security as well as home ownership. So being able to offer everything across the board gives them that option. And I have more people take the choice of ownership because I do it. It's not a hindrance. Again, when it comes to words, I also watch how I maybe put myself out there when it comes to advertising classes and things like that. I challenge everybody to educate without saying educate, because people that are out of their college years, they don't often stop to be educated. If you walked up to me in a grocery store and said, hey, come to my education class, I'd probably be a little put off about, first of all, why do you think I'm not educated? And B, girl, what are you going to tell me? Right? So I tend to put out there more direct conversation when it comes to that education and telling people to get the tips and tools that they need to buy a home. Find out the truth about home buying in 2024, level up your ownership game, things like that, because it speaks to who I'm talking to, but it also means that I don't advertise it as just a credit repair situation. So when I'm in these classes and it has 25, first of all, I'm getting a lot of attendance, partnering with my HFAs and doing these micro classes to get people on the path of ownership. I didn't advertise as a credit repair or necessarily start at the bottom. So it's attracting people who are more primed mentally already to say, let me level up my life. Let me go get a piece of this on a Saturday morning or a Tuesday evening, right? So we get a lot of people that come. And number two, their average credit scores are 660 or higher, meaning they fit nicely in getting down payment assistance programs that are across my city and my state. And they're more likely to qualify for a home loan, but might just have a small missing piece to make it happen. And if I don't offer them everything, you never know what they're mentally thinking about in this process, to where maybe I want to keep my $20,000 in the bank. Maybe I need this. I have it, but I just don't want to part with it. And then they sit on the sideline and don't buy. So we're missing out on mortgage ready people by not giving the offering as well.
Boom. Wow. Well, Mosi, I am going to be sending you an email because I need to get a full hour with you and have you bring a TCA, a mortgage coach total cost analysis, and we'll get that on the calendar because you're fire, you know. And
It's just not about the have-nots. People think down
yeah,
payment
no,
assistance is only the have-nots. It's not.
I love how
Everybody
you say
has to pick a struggle, right? And if the struggle is, ooh, I like my money because it gives me security. What if I can't work? I'm the breadwinner in my family. Everybody comes to me for money. Not offering the assistance, let them choose. But you're bringing value to them simply by laying it on the table.
Yeah, and guys, with the NAR settlement that's happening, realtors need you to bring more value than ever. And when you are an expert at solving needs like this, you're bringing more value. And when you're using a mortgage coach total cost analysis or rent versus own analysis, guys, that's worth money. It's tangible value. So it is a time to not only help people, you know, overcome the affordability crisis and make clear decisions leveraging all the tools available, but it's also a competitive advantage to recruit realtors in a market like this. So I did put a link. So a couple of people said some nice things about Mortgage Coach. Thank you, guys. There's a link to sign up for it. I'll also put a link that's our best training, you know, where to get trained on how to use it. I'll put a link that's our trustengine.com/10x is the page. Great training page. So Rob, don't be
Hey,
shy
Dave,
now.
real
Go
quick,
ahead.
can I
Yeah,
just
of
want to
course.
remind everyone to go back and listen to the Tuesday interview from this week between Dan Keller and Sean Herrero, where they
Oh,
were
yes.
coaching each other on these rent to own. And some things that Sean showed that how he structures his TCAs a little bit different than how Dan does, which Dan was like, you know, sweet, I'm going to start doing it this way. But that was an epic call, and it's on the YouTube channel, and the TCA links are already there in the description. So I highly, highly recommend that you guys also check that one out, just for even additional ideas of how to get first-time home buyers or these, you know, nervous Nellies off the ledge and get them excited, and showing them what they could accomplish in just 3 to 5 years if they make just the one single decision that I believe in myself and I'm going to do this and I'm worth it and I deserve it and I'm going to become a homeowner, and they just need you to be their guide. So y'all check that out. It was a great call.
Yeah, you know, they did a Tuesday takeover and it was unbelievable. I'll be creating micro content from that. And it was just all about focus and what they're doing and what they're focusing on to win. And so Deb, thank you for calling that out, and we'll put a link down below to that. So Rob, don't be shy now. And Kristen, let's make sure we pull out the beauty of this platform, because truly one of the solutions to solving this issue is down payment resources. You know, if you have a rich family and they're going to give you the money, that's a great solution. But if you don't, and you need some community help, like Rob has created something that is amazing. And so, I mean, whether you want to share your screen, whether you want to describe it, please do. And then Mosi, don't be shy about kind of sharing how you leverage that platform, because it is truly one of the best solutions. No, it is the best solution in America to help solve this issue at scale. So Rob, where do you want to go? What do you want to share?
Well, first of all, for the record, I'm not shy. I'm just mesmerized listening to Mosi. So I have to snap back to attention. And a couple of quick things that, you know, if I could summarize all the conversations we've had with lenders in the last 16 years we've been doing this, it would be something like, love the concept of DPA. We struggle with the economics and logistics. And it's a hurdle for so many people because it's dealing with down payment assistance programs is unfamiliar, and anything that's unfamiliar becomes bigger than life. And as Mosi said, it's not that complicated. We also tell lenders, yeah, we've got 2,300 plus programs in our database across the country. 75% of those are down payment assistance, and that's overwhelming. But we also say, you don't have to, don't boil the ocean. You don't have to go out and do all of them. Start with some of the easy ones. And there are ways in our system, there are ways to find the easier ones if that's what you want to do. So, all those things, that's a big part of our mission too, is to educate the industry to get over that fear and intimidation and just do it, start doing it. You realize it's not so hard, and you'll benefit from it. Your clients will benefit from it, and it's just a win-win. It's a perfect case of do good, do well. So as far as our platform, yeah, we have this database of all these programs. We have very detailed information about each one of them. And we have a team that tracks them on a monthly basis. So they're contacting over 1,300 different down payment assistance providers across the country. And our team made over 270,000 updates just last year alone. So things change, and sometimes they're small things, but they can be small but consequential things, or funding status, is money available, things like that. Who can keep up with it? Like I was saying earlier, even if you just limited to one metro area, it's just impossible to keep up with it. So that's what we set out to do, is just help our business partners connect home buyers with the down payment help they need, and give them a platform to make it easy. So part of the platform is used by product managers. It's not for loan officers or consumers. It's a DPA directory, access into all the details of all these programs with a ton of search filters. And it's used by product managers or somebody in secondary marketing, capital markets, because without it, they're just doing internet searches to find the programs. And then you got to find the right person to call and get all the try to get the information sent back to you and sort it out. It's all formatted in a different way. So we formatted everything in a standardized way. It just makes it neat and clean and easy to search and easy to find. So when we show that in our demos, we show that to a lot of lenders. It's uncanny how many lenders say, "Oh, I get it. This is all regs for down payment assistance." And I think, well, that's pretty good elevator speech. And then the other part of it, in addition to this unique database, is software that automates the process of matching a transaction. To say, the house has certain characteristics that need to qualify to be eligible for any given program, and the household, maximum household income, household size, home ownership history, certain occupations, community heroes that might have special programs. So that part of it, somebody said, actually heard two different people say this, one almost back at the beginning and then one last year. So we've come full circle, but they both said, "Oh, this is like Match.com for DPA." And again, it's just automating, 6-7 questions, and you see what fits and what doesn't fit. So and then we have it in, we have multiple listing service customers, and they make it available to their agents or brokers. And you mentioned, Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com. The idea behind that is that so many people don't know about these programs, but everybody starts their home search online. So we take the listing data, process it, and say, okay, here's the set of programs that would be available to a buyer of this home, potentially available. And then the buyer answers the person online who sees that answers 6 questions and said, okay, here are the programs and how much money is available for me if I was to buy that home. So it's just it's such a simple message. It's an easy message, easy to understand, and it's this: down payment help is available. See if you're eligible. You put that out there, and people will engage, just like the million plus people who filled out that form in the first year of Zillow. Because we have, we train thousands of agents a year through our MLS integrations. And the number one question we get from realtors is, tell me loan officers in my market, I'm in Orlando, I'm in Austin, I'm in, Minneapolis. Tell me loan officers in my market that work with these programs. And I invite anybody to go to Facebook and look up Down Payment Insiders. It's a private Facebook group. Scroll through all the posts, and I swear it seems like every other post is an agent actually saying that. Hey, glad to join the group. I'm in Tampa. Please tell me loan officers, and then everybody else will chime in. Loan officers now are coming in there and being able to tell people how they can help them if they're in the same market. So it's just we're just trying to make it easier to work with these programs. And we have so many great case studies, and we did a case study on Mosi, because she is the poster child, if I could say that. But it's just, there's so many benefits that, it's crazy to think, why would you not make this a part of your business?
Yeah. And so I'm going to do in 1 minute or less my kind of elevator pitch on it. And then Mosi, we're going to go to you. And it's going to be a lot less than a minute, because to me, it's two things. It is the optimal blue. What optimal blue is for pricing loans in America. It's the optimal blue in the pricing engine for down payment assistance programs. So that's it. And then why?
It makes it quick and easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it quick and easy.
Quick and easy.
And then why should you do this? Guys, there's a reason why Zillow and Redfin partnered with Rob. Leads. You want to get more leads on social media? Do posts around solving the biggest problem for buying a home. And guys, you've got the search engine. So that's my pitch. Mosi, what's your 1 minute or less elevator pitch, on this?
I like to, again, dispel the myth that A, down payment assistance is just for the have-nots, and B, you can't do a lot of volume while doing down payment assistance. I like to call it my way of doing good while getting the bag. Because yes, I am doing good. I'm doing a service to my community, my partners that come to me and trust me to give all the options, because I'm not leaving anyone behind or in the lurch by not putting something out there that might help them. So that's my do good. But because of the volume we do, and we are kicking over every stone to find options for everybody, I'm also getting the bag. I'm making the money. I'm doing loans. We have a great offering. So one didn't have to be sacrificed for the other. So as an LO, a mortgage company, like, it's where you need to be with that little 5-6 step process the Down Payment Resource has. It does all the skimming for you, and it will bring up nationwide options no matter where you're at. Even if you had to recommend a referral to a different state because someone was transferring, you just drop in all the details and it gives it to you. It hands it to you on a silver platter. So do it. Go get your money. If you're a LO, you can do this and do good.
Yeah. And if you can spell Down Payment Resources, the domain, go here, see how it works for yourself. Rob, we've got loan officers, we've probably got heads of production, heads of marketing, where should they go on your website aside from this link? Like, what's someone who wants to learn more about this? Professionals, guys, go right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Click on
And then
professionals and learn more here. You want to be an enterprise? Learn lender solutions here. You're an MLS, boom. This is the place. Let's work together. So everyone, make sure you follow them on social media. Make sure that you lean into this and do it for the leads, profits, and do it for the purpose. Let's lean into the communities that we serve, bring financial literacy to people that are looking for homes right now. And then from a first home IQ perspective, let's make sure everybody by the age of 21 in America knows how money works. There's five financial literacy micro lessons that I believe everyone should know by the age of 21. And by the way, those 5 micro lessons on financial literacy, they're the same lessons that the best loan officers in America use to convert. So it's like you can do good by people and you could do good by yourself. I'm going to put a link to an interview I did a couple weeks ago. This guy's name was James Allen out of the Boston area. I interviewed him. It's like how he's closing 28 loans right now this month. And by the way, it was this, no, I guess it was last month. He closed 28 loans last month. So I put a link to that. It's like a 23-minute interview. And in the last quarter of it, I did a little lesson on what are these 5 micro lessons. So check that out. So Deborah, I'm going to have you close it out, but before you do the win by noon close, Kristen Messerly, you know, anything you want to call out for people here, or anything you want to do to drive some folks into First Home IQ?
Well, I just want to say that people in the next generation are really struggling with the idea of even being able to buy a home. They're not often even thinking about it, to some points that were made earlier, because they feel it's out of reach. So I think even talking about down payment assistance and what that can mean, and showing that, you know, I mean, showing the what that can do to getting them into homes sooner can actually get you more business, even with those who don't need or would qualify for the down payment assistance itself. So that's something I would encourage everybody to do. And also, of course, please check out First Home IQ. If you are not familiar with it, you can go to firsthomeiq.com. We have an amazing, lively community. So if you just click on that LO and Realtor page at the top of the website, join the community, join the conversation. Thank you so much.
All right. And I put a link to the quiz because that is the tip of the spear of the educational experience. It's free, takes 5 to 10 minutes. Every mortgage professional should take that free quiz. And if every mortgage professional in America shared that with your kids, shared that with the people that you know and love in your community, promoted that to your database, and if we could get millions of people going through that quiz that Kristen and her team created, and delivering, you know, those financial literacy on the 5 micro lessons every 21-year-old should know. Like, guys, like, problem's not solved, but we put a big ass dent in the problem in America. So Deborah Bird, close us out.
Well, I do have one question for you, Mosi, because I was creeping on your Instagram and there's a picture of you and Shaq, and I love Shaq. I got to hear the story. How do you work with him? Like, what's the deal? Can you hook me up?
Yeah, well, a real estate partner. He has house in Vegas and he does a lot of work in Vegas. Introduced me to him and some of the people that work for him. So I got a chance, I think in that picture, I was able to go to his charity that he has called The Event in Las Vegas every year, where a lot of business people get together. And one of the items that were auctioned off was a game of horse with Shaq, believe it or not. It cost a lot, probably over 6 figures. Someone paid to play a game of horse with him, but he is a great community partner in Las Vegas. He helps tons of unserved community centers, children, just being there. So it's definitely great. The people that work for him as well are phenomenal people in general.
Wow. His head is like almost cut off in the picture. It's hilarious.
I know, right? I go up to like his belly button. It's pretty intimidating. I'm 5'1". So if you happen to see the picture, yes, I am 5'1". And every time I post something like that, everybody's like, "You're short." I'm like, "Yes, I know this."
I mean, just anyone
how about that person's abnormally tall and I'm just not abnormally short? How about that?
Well,
real quick, Deborah, before you go. So Mosi, you need to help us get Shaq as a First Home IQ celebrity. So we'll be talking to you offline on that one.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get everybody in homes.
And just to put a bow on this, guys, you know, 1, thank you for listening to this call, but 2, we've got to level up our advice and our solutions. We've talked about it before that we are the solutionist. And the person who solves the biggest problem usually gets paid the most. So if you're obsessed with impact and you're obsessed with solving problems, this is a great opportunity to get paid the most over the lifetime value of a client, which anytime you can get someone into their first home and get them into your management of mortgages program, where you can either refinance or get them into the next home and the next home, and hopefully their second home and their investment properties. That's what it's going to require for you to be memorable and to thrive in this, new era of the mortgage industry. So go solve your clients' needs, go serve them in the deepest way. And guys, don't forget to win by noon.
All right, guys. So first of all, if you've not already subscribed to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe so you get updates. Reminder to everyone that at savageinsights.com, the very top thing is what's next. Like what's the next interview I'm doing? Next week, I'm interviewing, doing a webinar with a C-suite mortgage executive, one of the top producing mortgage leaders in the country, Daniel Saw. And I've got one of the top real estate leaders in the country, Carrie Scholl. So that will be at the top. Second down on the list is how to get in my mobile club. A couple times a week, I am texting what I think are the best content, the action items. Like if you want to be a data-driven, purpose and profits-driven mortgage leader, like sign up for my text group. The number is over there. And just thank you guys. Couldn't do what we do without everybody on this call and everybody who attends. So thanks everybody. This is a wrap. Bye now.